recipe for you to try at home.
Hi, we're back at Epicurean Kitchen at the Hilton on the Park, Melbourne. We are here with our very own executive chef, Heshan Peris. Heshan, what are you going to do today?
Today, I'm actually going to do something a little bit Sri Lankan inspired.
Sri Lankan,
Yeah,
wow.
a lot of people say I don't do any Sri Lankan dishes, so this is actually Sri Lankan inspired. I'm actually going to do a pan roll, but it's going to be a duck confit pan roll.
Duck confit pan roll,
Yep.
Okay. Let's go through the ingredients and see what you got.
Yep, okay. So, pan roll, crumbing, obviously. So, we have some flour, egg, some fresh breadcrumbs here, but you can use dried, there's nothing wrong in that. I have my duck confit, and I'll talk about that in a minute. I have a crepe to roll our pan roll in, and I'm actually making an onion jam that actually goes in our duck confit, so in our pan roll. So we have some sliced onion, brown sugar and bay leaf, red wine vinegar, seeded mustard, and I've actually got a bit of sweet chili sauce to serve on the side with our pan roll.
Well, going back to duck confit, can you please tell me what is duck confit?
Okay, so duck confit is a very old French way of preserving meat. Back in the day before refrigeration, the way they used to preserve meat was to actually leave meat inside oil to stop it from the bacteria from getting in. Confit itself is actually, what we actually do is put our duck and we poach it, so it's like poaching, in oil, or what in our case we're actually using duck fat. So we're going to poach it in our duck fat. We poach for about an hour to 2 hours at a very low temperature, and what actually happens is that oil starts to break down those proteins and actually get a very soft piece of meat. Now I'm using duck confit for this. You can actually use roasted duck, Peking duck if you want, you can play around with that, but I find with this flavour combination, duck confit works best. You can actually buy it at specialist shops out there. It is actually readily available.
Well, when you say the oil is not actually deep frying, make sure that you just have the room temperature, a little bit more than room temperature, about 75 degree maximum, so then it'll settle down nicely.
Okay, so I'm going to show you our duck confit. We have our duck confit leg here. As you can see, the meat it does look quite oily, but we'll just drain a little bit of that off. And the meat just starts to fall off the bone, like so. And what we're trying to do is shred this piece of meat so it's nice and fine. So I'm not going to shred this all by myself. I'm going to pass this over to my assistant, Heshan. He's going to complete this, and what we're going to do is start getting on our onion jam. All right, so what we're going to do is to get our pan on the stove. Now, onion jam is quite a versatile condiment. At the hotel, we actually serve it with our burgers. You can serve it with a steak. It can be used in a variety of different ways. What we're trying to do is not actually fry off our onion. We're just trying to sweat our onion. And the luxury of onion is actually, when it cooks down, it actually becomes quite sweet. So what we're going to try and do is enhance that sweetness. So our onion goes in. Like I said, you're not trying to brown this. And we're just going to start to sweat this down very slowly. As this sweats, I'm going to add our bay leaf. I'm just going to add a little bit of sugar. The sugar assists us in the caramelizing process and actually gives it a lot more colour as the sugar caramelizes. But constantly moving. What you don't want is the onion to stick to the pan and start to brown off. So as our onion starts to cook down, I'll add our red wine vinegar. Now the vinegar does give it a bit of tartness, but the sugariness in the onions will match that. And now what we do is just constantly give this a stir every 5 to 10 minutes and cook this down until it gets nice and brown. So the red wine vinegar gives it a nice sharp note. It does give it a bit of an acid note, but the sweetness of the onion will contrast that. Now what we're going to try and do is let this cook for about 2 to 3 hours, very gentle temperature, stirring this once every 10 to 20 minutes. So let's let that go, and we'll come back to that in a few hours. Okay, so onions have been cooking down. Now that's perfect colour and perfect. You can smell the caramelising coming off that. So that's ready to go. Now, like I said, this you can store in the fridge. You can use it for other purposes. Works great with burgers, on the side of a steak, with a serve of chicken. Works brilliantly. But for our purposes today, I'm going to make this into a confit pan roll. So my assistant's to shred that up nice and beautifully. What we're going to do is add our seeded mustard and a little bit of our beautiful onion jam. What this provides is a little bit of heat and a little bit of sweetness at the same time. And we give this a nice mix. Check the seasoning of this. Duck confit can be a little bit salty sometimes, so I don't always over season this. And that's ready to be assembled into a pan roll. Our pan roll, we'll just put that filling in the just towards the end, not in the middle. Close our sides up like so. Now I'm making these quite small because I like to use these for canapes, but you can make them as big or as small as you'd like. And that's our completed pan roll, nicely rolled. So we're going to start to crumb our duck pan rolls now. So first into the flour. Now I'm quite lucky, I have this set up with two different containers with 2 compartments. It's the best way to work, so you're working in a little bit of a station style. So in with the flour. Okay, so into our egg mix, and then into our crumbing mix here. And you just continue on until you have all your pan rolls crumbed, and then they go into the deep fryer as per normal. So what I'm going to do is take this to the fryer, get them nice and golden, and we're ready to serve. Thanks, mate. Okay, so that's our pan rolls done. So we're just going to add a little bit of salt over the top. And then we have our chili sauce. And that is my duck confit pan roll. Keithy, what do you think, mate?
Looks good, man.
You like that one?
That was very nice. Well, I think we have a new version to our pan rolls now with duck. So thank you very much,
Not a
Heshan.
problem, thanks for
Number one, thank you for letting us coming into your kitchen.
No worries, thank you,
and
anytime.
we all appreciate very much and all your support.
Yep.
And yes, that's all for the day. And we'll see you again with a new recipe next week. Bye for now.
See you next time.